Most guys think that when a woman goes quiet, she's over you. Let me tell you something that might shock you. Silence doesn't always mean disinterest. In fact, sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes a woman's quiet is a sign that she's thinking about you more than ever, but she's holding back, observing, processing, and yes, even longing. This isn't about playing games or decoding endless mixed signals. It's about understanding human behavior from a woman's perspective, something most men never really get. Women don't always express their thoughts and feelings directly, especially when it comes to someone they care about or feel a connection with. And if you misread the silence, you might be walking away from a woman who's still mentally replaying moments with you, questioning her choices, or wondering what you're up to. Here's the thing. A woman who's thinking about you, even when she's silent, is sending subtle cues all around you. They're easy to miss if you're not paying attention, but once you learn to see them, it changes the game completely. You start understanding her without her saying a word. You see the longing in her actions, the hesitation in her replies, the patterns that reveal her thoughts. And knowing this isn't just about boosting your ego, it's about navigating relationships with clarity, awareness, and a bit of psychological insight that most men overlook. By the end of this video, you'll be able to recognize these signs instantly. You'll learn to see when she's thinking about you, even in complete silence, and understand what that really means. No guesswork, no overthinking, just clear signs that show her mind keeps drifting back to you. So, if you've ever wondered whether a woman is still holding some thought of you, or if you've been confused by her quiet behavior, you're in the right place. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today, we're diving deep into the hidden signs she's thinking about you, even when she's silent. Pay attention, because what I'm about to share could completely change the way you interpret her behavior and your entire approach to relationships. 1. She mentions you without meaning. You might think that if a woman doesn't text you or call you, she's completely over you, but that's rarely the case. One of the clearest signs she's still thinking about you is when she brings you up without even realizing it. And here's the thing. It often happens in casual conversations, among friends, or even when she's just talking to herself. She might start a story with, "My friend was with this guy," and somehow your name slips in. Or she might casually compare someone she's talking about to you, saying things like, "He's funny, but not like him," or "I wish guys were more like him." These small, almost accidental mentions are her mind sneaking you into her day, even if she's trying not to. It's subconscious. She's not always deliberately trying to make you think she's interested. She's simply letting you occupy space in her thoughts. Think about how often she talks about the past, the things you did together, the inside jokes, or moments that only you two would understand. She doesn't need to send you a text to relive those moments. Her brain is replaying them anyway. The key here is noticing patterns. If she brings you up in different contexts, repeatedly, without prompting, it's a strong signal that she's still mentally engaged with you. This isn't just about nostalgia, it's about emotional connection. When someone mentions you without thinking about it, it means you still have an impact on her life. She might smile, laugh, or even feel a pang of longing when your name comes up. And if she does this around mutual friends or in casual settings, it shows that you're still present in her mind, whether she admits it or not. Now, let's be clear. These mentions can be subtle. You might catch a fleeting glance when your name is said, or notice a change in her tone. These little cues are her unconscious way of showing she hasn't stopped thinking about you. And the more naturally it happens, the more genuine it is. Here's the takeaway for you as a man. Don't ignore the small accidental mentions. They're often louder than anything she could text or say directly. Pay attention, notice patterns, and understand that silence doesn't mean absence. She's thinking about you, even when her lips aren't saying it. Recognizing this early gives you an advantage, because knowing she still cares allows you to respond in a way that's confident, composed, and magnetic. 2. Silent checking becomes her habit. Even if she isn't reaching out, one of the most telling signs a woman still thinks about you is how often she silently checks on your life. This doesn't mean she's stalking you obsessively, but she's keeping tabs in subtle ways, scrolling through your social media, noticing updates, or paying attention to your activities through mutual connections. And here's the kicker. She doesn't always do it consciously. It becomes a habit, almost automatic. Think about it. When someone matters to us, even just a little, our brain finds ways to stay connected. Seeing your photos, noticing your whereabouts, or catching wind of your achievements gives her a sense of involvement without her having to actually interact. She's measuring your life, seeing how you're doing, what you're up to, and maybe even comparing herself to your experiences. It's her mind staying engaged with you, silently, behind the scenes. What's important for you to understand is that this isn't always about jealousy. It's often about curiosity and lingering attachment. Even if she acts distant or disinterested in person, her brain is quietly checking in. That momentary glance at your story, or a subtle reaction to your post, shows she's emotionally present. She's thinking about you, assessing where she stands, and wondering if you've moved on, or if she still has a place in your world. Another thing to note is that women often internalize this habit. She might not even admit it to her friends because she doesn't want to seem clingy or desperate. It's silent, private, and consistent. If she were truly over you, there would be no checking, no mental energy spent on what you're doing or who you're with. Instead, this quiet attention is a psychological footprint, showing that she still cares in ways she doesn't openly express. From your perspective, noticing these subtle signs gives you insight into her thoughts without needing direct communication. It's a reminder that absence doesn't equal disinterest. Her mind is engaged even when her words are not, which means she hasn't completely let go. Understanding this allows you to respond intelligently, without overreaching or panicking, and gives you a chance to subtly influence the dynamic if you choose to engage again. The takeaway here is simple. Pay attention to the patterns, not just the silence. When you see that subtle engagement, even in the quietest, most private ways, it's a strong signal she's still thinking about you. Recognizing this habit can give you clarity, patience, and a mental edge because you now know her mind hasn't fully moved on, even if her actions suggest otherwise. 3. She remembers your habits, not just your words. One of the most revealing signs a woman still thinks about you, even in silence, is the way she remembers your habits, routines, and little quirks, not just the things you said. Women notice details, especially the small things that make you unique. These are the things she stores in her memory long after the moments pass, and recalling them quietly shows you still occupy space in her mind. It could be something as simple as the way you drink your coffee in the morning, the song you hum under your breath, or the phrase you always say when you're frustrated. She notices these patterns and remembers them because they're tied to the essence of who you are. When she brings them up, even casually, it's a subconscious signal. She's thinking about you, reliving your presence, and comparing those details to other people or experiences. Even without direct contact, she might reference your habits in conversation, maybe to friends or in passing, without realizing how revealing it is. Her mind naturally connects your actions to emotions she felt when she was with you. This isn't manipulation, it's just human nature. The mind clings to what was meaningful, and for her, you left an impression that wasn't easy to erase. This is different from remembering facts about you, like your favorite color or your birthday. Those are surface-level details. What really matters is the behavioral memory, the way she recalls how you move through the world. Women attach emotional significance to these details, and remembering them silently indicates she's still emotionally engaged, even if she's pretending otherwise outwardly. For you as a man, noticing this pattern can be eye-opening. You might catch her referencing something you thought she had forgotten, or she might react in ways that show she's anticipating your moves or responses. That's her mind circling back to you, analyzing your habits and replaying your interactions. It's a subtle but powerful sign of ongoing mental engagement. Understanding this helps you interpret silence differently. Instead of assuming she's distant because she's withdrawn, you start noticing the hidden markers of attention. Her memory of your habits is her way of keeping you present in her thoughts. It's a signal that she hasn't emotionally disconnected, even if she's not actively communicating. 4. Her mood shifts around your name. One of the most subtle yet telling signs a woman still thinks about you, even in silence, is how her mood changes when your name comes up. This doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't need to see her break down or get visibly emotional. It's often tiny, almost imperceptible shifts in tone, posture, or energy that reveal her inner thoughts. When she hears your name, whether from a friend, social media, or in passing, her expression might flicker, her attention might sharpen, or she might pause for a split second before responding. These micro-reactions happen automatically. They're not calculated. Her brain is processing emotions she might not even consciously acknowledge. This subtle shift tells you she's still emotionally attached, still mentally engaging with you, and that your presence, past or potential, is significant to her. Mood shifts can also show up in the way she interacts with others. She might become quieter, distracted, or more reflective after your name is mentioned. Sometimes she might smile, laugh softly, or even roll her eyes in a way that betrays fondness or irritation because she's reminded of something connected to you. These responses aren't about manipulation. They're instinctive, almost impossible to fake consistently. The key point for you as a man is that these mood changes reveal interest without words. If she were truly over you, your name would roll off her tongue like any other, eliciting no noticeable reaction. The fact that it provokes a response, tiny or not, shows that your presence, influence, and memories still matter to her. It's important to notice patterns. One random reaction might not mean much, but repeated, consistent, subtle shifts around your name tell a story. They signal that even in her silence, she's thinking about you, processing memories, or even wondering about the what-ifs. These mental and emotional echoes are powerful indicators of lingering attachment and unresolved feelings. For men, understanding this is crucial. It's easy to misread silence as disinterest, but paying attention to these subtle emotional cues gives you insight into what's really happening. You start to see the truth behind her outward behavior. Recognizing that her mood is linked to thoughts of you allows you to approach the situation with clarity, confidence, and emotional intelligence rather than uncertainty or frustration. The takeaway: your name triggers her mind and her emotions, even if she doesn't say a word. These shifts are her silent signals, letting you know she hasn't stopped thinking about you. Learning to notice them gives you a window into her inner world, allowing you to interpret her silence in ways most men completely miss. 5. She imagines you in everyday moments. Even if she's silent, one of the clearest signs a woman still thinks about you is how often she imagines you in everyday life. It doesn't have to be dramatic or conscious. It's the quiet mental scenarios that replay in her mind when she's alone, bored, or even just passing the time. Your presence lingers, not physically, but in her thoughts. She might catch herself wondering how you'd react to a funny situation, or imagine how your opinion would matter in a decision she's making. She might think about a conversation you had weeks or months ago and mentally continue it, exploring different outcomes or responses. These thoughts happen without her trying. They're subtle, sometimes fleeting, but they keep you emotionally alive in her mind. This is why she might laugh unexpectedly, sigh, or get momentarily distracted in situations that remind her of you. Even mundane moments, a song, a place, a scent, can trigger her imagination of you. Her mind fills in gaps, creating scenarios where you're present, because your absence doesn't mean you're forgotten. In fact, your absence makes her thoughts of you more frequent, more vivid. Let's be honest. Many men underestimate the power of imagination. Women think in patterns and feelings, not just logic. So when she imagines you, it's not just idle daydreaming. It's her processing emotions, weighing feelings, and sometimes even debating what she should do next regarding you. She's mentally connecting with you in ways she might never admit aloud, and that silent attention shows she's still invested. There's also a subtle indicator here. When a woman imagines you often, she might make small choices that reflect your presence. She might pick a restaurant you liked, wear something she knows you appreciated, or do activities you once enjoyed together. These aren't deliberate messages. They're extensions of her thoughts about you, showing up naturally in her daily life. For men, noticing this is a game changer. Even if she's quiet, absent, or acting indifferent, her imagination keeps you in the emotional loop. It's proof that she hasn't fully detached from you mentally. Understanding this helps you interpret silence correctly. Absence doesn't equal erasure. Her thoughts, feelings, and imagination remain connected to you, often in ways she won't articulate directly. The takeaway: the more she mentally places you in her daily moments, the stronger the sign that she's still thinking about you. These imagined connections are her silent acknowledgement that you matter, even if she isn't sending texts or calling. Recognizing this allows you to read between the lines and approach the relationship with awareness and clarity. 6. Your absence feels louder than words. Sometimes, the most powerful way a woman shows she's thinking about you is through your absence. You might not hear from her, see her, or get any messages, but the way she reacts internally to your absence can be louder than any words she could say. Silence doesn't always mean she's moved on. Often, it's a sign she's noticing your absence more than you realize. When a woman still cares, she feels your absence in subtle ways. She might feel a twinge of curiosity about what you're doing, or notice a part of her day that feels emptier without your presence. Even if she doesn't reach out, she's aware of gaps in her routine that used to involve you. That awareness keeps her thoughts circling back to you, and it's a mental cue that she hasn't fully let go. Your absence can also trigger reflection. She might replay past conversations, think about moments you shared, or even compare her current experiences to those she had with you. These mental exercises happen silently but persistently. They create a kind of emotional echo that reminds her of you, sometimes more intensely than when you were actually together. The interesting part is that absence often intensifies desire. When she's not actively engaging with you, she has more mental space to notice your qualities, to remember your quirks, and to analyze what made your connection meaningful. This is why women sometimes seem quieter, but more emotionally affected. They're processing your absence internally, which can make your presence even more powerful when you do interact. For men, understanding this dynamic is critical. It means that just because she's quiet doesn't mean she's indifferent. In fact, the quieter she is, the more she might be noticing, analyzing, and feeling your absence. Her silence can be a form of respect for boundaries or a way of testing her own emotions. It's also a subconscious indicator of her lingering attachment. The key takeaway: absence has its own voice. It's a silent reminder that she still thinks about you, sometimes more than she realizes herself. Recognizing this allows you to see the deeper emotional patterns behind her behavior. You start to notice the small signals that indicate she's present in thought, even if not in action. Understanding this gives you insight, patience, and a clearer perspective on the silent ways she still values your presence. 7. She questions, "What if?" about you. One of the most revealing signs a woman is still thinking about you, even if she's completely silent, is when she starts questioning "what if" scenarios in her mind. She might wonder what would have happened if she had acted differently, or if you were still around more often. These thoughts aren't always conscious, but they shape her emotions and decisions in subtle ways. She might catch herself imagining how things could be if you reconnected, or what her life would look like with you involved. She may reflect on moments where she wished she'd handled things differently, or where she wishes she could have expressed herself more clearly. Even though she doesn't say any of this out loud, these reflections are a clear sign she hasn't fully moved on. Her mind keeps running the possibilities, and that means you still matter. Here's the thing men often miss. This isn't about regret alone, it's about attachment and curiosity. Women process relationships deeply and emotionally, so when they question, "what if?" it's their way of exploring unresolved feelings. These thoughts may influence her mood, her interactions with others, or even the decisions she makes in dating. She's quietly assessing her options, but you remain part of the mental equation. For you, this is a chance to reflect as well. A lot of men make the mistake of assuming that silence equals indifference, when in reality, her mind might be full of what ifs about you. Recognizing this helps you understand that she's still engaged on a mental and emotional level, even if she doesn't reach out. It also gives you a perspective on your own actions. Maybe there are things you could do differently, ways to show value, or opportunities to reconnect if that's what you want. At the same time, this is where men need a dose of honesty. Don't romanticize every thought she has. Just because she's reflecting on what if doesn't guarantee she's going to reach out. It's a sign, yes, but it's also a call for you to stay aware, confident, and intentional with your own actions. Your value isn't dependent on her wondering. It's dependent on how you show up, how you communicate, and how you maintain your presence in her mind without being desperate or overbearing. The takeaway: when a woman questions "what if" about you, it's proof she's still thinking about you. It's a mental echo of your connection that hasn't disappeared. Recognizing this helps you interpret her silence correctly, act with confidence, and maintain clarity in your approach. It's a reminder that her thoughts, feelings, and reflections are still tied to you, even if she doesn't voice them. And as a man, understanding this gives you both perspective and power in navigating the dynamic. So, here's the truth that most men completely miss. Silence doesn't mean she's over you. In fact, sometimes the quieter she is, the more she's thinking about you. Whether it's mentioning you without realizing it, checking on your life silently, remembering your habits, or imagining "what if" scenarios, these are all subtle ways she's keeping you present in her mind. She may not text, call, or engage openly, but her thoughts, emotions, and imagination tell a very different story. The controversial part: many men panic or overanalyze this silence, assuming it's rejection. But if you understand these signs, you'll see the reality. She's still emotionally invested, even if she's not saying a word. And that's where the power is for you. Recognizing these signals allows you to act with confidence, clarity, and composure, rather than uncertainty or desperation. It gives you the upper hand in navigating her attention and understanding her mindset. I want you to take a moment and reflect. Have you been ignoring these silent signs? Have you assumed she moved on when in fact she's still thinking about you? Understanding this changes the way you approach relationships, silence, and connection. I'd love to hear your experiences. Have you noticed any of these subtle signs in the women you've cared about? Share your stories in the comments below, and I promise I'll engage with you. Let's create a conversation where we break down what women are really thinking, even when they're quiet. because understanding her mind isn't just insightful, it's game-changing.